Hi, everybody. Well, the left have lost their minds. That goes without saying, I know. But today, to give some personal experience to how the left have lost their minds, I'm going to relate some personal events. In 2016, I saw that the previous 8 years under Barack Hussein Obama were not what I held out as good years for America. However, during the Obama time in office, I did not protest, I did not damage property, or call for harm to the president. Actually, if anyone, particularly foreigners, spoke ill of Obama, I defended the office of the presidency and our president as he was duly elected, particularly by stupid, ill informed, self deprecating white folks. I've always disliked career politicians, both Democrat and Republicans. I always said if you took, let's say, Mitch McConnell and Ted Kennedy and stripped them down naked and put them in a room and actually listened to them, well, you couldn't tell one from the other, Democrat or Republican. Both were two old white men, self serving and serving themselves, not the American people. Now, in 2016, I had the opportunity to support and vote for a candidate who spoke and thought like me, Donald J. Trump. He was a New Yorker, he was brash, he was direct, he had an edge to him, similar to myself, and I liked that. A populist who had no interest in enriching himself. I mean, the guy was already a billionaire. When I publicly showed support for Trump on Twitter, Facebook, and in conversations with friends and families, I suddenly realized I was going to be a lone voice in the dark. It all started when my wife and I were going to Emmy Rossum. You've heard of her, right? You know, she's kind of a movie star. She was the star of Shameless. Well, I kind of consider her my goddaughter. I mean, I was there basically when she came home from the hospital. Her and her mother, her mom knew me since I was a kid, since she was a kid, and I was there for her and her mom, Cheryl, for anything they ever needed. Well, Emmy called me and said, "You're not supporting Donald Trump, are you?" So, of course, I thought she was joking with me. She did have a good sense of humor. So I said in response, "Well, you're not really supporting Hillary Clinton, are you?" Well, that was the last I heard from her. And there was no wedding invitation. I guess her mother walked her down the aisle. That part of was just not going to happen for me. Well, next in the hit parade, my sister called to rant and say, "Fuck you and your wife." Well, by the way, my wife is apolitical. She has no interest in politics. She doesn't discuss her votes. She's very to herself about her politics. No one realizes or knows how she just does not get into politics. But nonetheless, my sister, and by the way, the liberals, what they will do, you are guilty by association. If you're married to someone who doesn't think like them, if you're friends with someone who doesn't think like them, if you're even in any way, shape, or form associated with someone who doesn't think and feel like them, you're absolutely out. Well, so, what happened was now, she acted like a lunatic. "I'll never speak to you again." Well, a few lunatic Democrat friends of mine joined the bandwagon. So my Hanukkah and Christmas card lists got shorter. Well, I've suffered through 8 years of Obama, 4 years of Biden, and never once canceled a friend or relative. My favorite saying is, I don't expect you to think like me. I just expect you to think. This is a strategy of the left to cut everyone out who doesn't think like them, and to even go after one of their own if they stray from the party line. Yep, the party line. The party of diversity, equity, and inclusion only abides by that if you adhere to everything they believe in. I've always said if they ever took total control forever, they would not be a kind master. The days of the left's flower power, make love, not war, peace is the way, save water, shower with a friend slogans have given way to death to Israel, death to Trump, death to Elon, resist, death to America, destroy billionaires. I mean, fill in the blanks. Blank, you're a Nazi. Fight open borders. They fight for open borders to their own destruction. Well, the leftists are everything they accuse their opponents of being. And if you get in their way or fall out of favor, you will be destroyed as well, even if you're a Kennedy or a Musk. Trump will jail all, they yelled. His opponents, they screamed, he'll put them in jail. He never did. He never did that at all. Yet, there was a phony FISA warrant, right, and Russia. What else did they do? There was the scam of 2 impeachments, the raid on Mar-a-Lago and Melania's private spaces in search of documents, and a court case to follow the phony J6 commission. And now a host of lawsuits to prohibit his mandate given to the President of the United States by the American people. This shows the extremes the left will go to in order to gaslight and project their despicable behavior on President Trump and the American people. I remember what Donald J. Trump said about everything done to him. They're coming after you. I just happen to be in their way. And isn't that the truth? Trump derangement syndrome will one day be a diagnosis in the DSM. Well, do you know what the DSM-5 is? It's every year, the 4, the 5. The Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. The handbook used by healthcare professionals in the U.S. and much of the world as the authoritative guide to the diagnosis of mental disorders. It contains descriptions, symptoms, and other criteria for diagnosing mental disorders. And this picture will be there as patient 0. For TDS, Trump derangement syndrome as we like to call it, the best advice I can give you is to maintain 6-foot distance from liberals, wear earplugs so as not to be infected by crazy talk, refrain from events consisting of large groups of liberals, Antifa members, Democrats, and neo-socialists. Live your life. Don't worry. Be happy, because all of them are miserable, and you don't want to be one of them.